Let's go back through that last little part where he's gonna be getting those calls, those contacts.
We good?
Yep.
So what we're talking about is where the contact's going to come by from when we break it down to a weekly level. We talked about on the buy side, it's going to be 35 circle calls a week and 25 old sign calls.
Correct.
I promise that's what that says.
Sure.
And then on the list side,
Yep.
what was it?
I had 60 doors for door knocking and open house.
Now, how many contacts from that?
20
And how are we going to know that that was successful?
by getting 2 nurtures.
So you're going to get 2 nurtures,
Yep.
door knocking,
Yep.
every week.
And then I also have door knocking under contract and door knocking sold.
Okay.
Now I'm curious, can I use those interchange those for each other? Like if we have an open house that weekend, I door knock the open house. If we had a home that sold that week or that week, then I do the just sold. Or is that an expectation that I should try and do one of all 3 every week?
I'll answer your question with a question,
Sure,
because that's what we do.
always.
This gives you 60 contacts.
Correct,
What we know is in order to get this number, you got to get a minimum of 120 contacts.
correct.
So even if you interchange these, well, you still get the 120 contacts.
Yes. Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the key to all of that is 120 contacts a week,
That
period.
number. Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
And then what we're going to do is you're going to start to take a look at where you're having the most success.
Right.
And where are those success streams coming from? What's long tail, what's short term? Mixing those up together so that as you do your follow-up, you start to build that 3 to 6 month pipeline
Right.
as well. And that comes through the under contract solds
Right.
and digging deeper on your open houses.
Cool.
Okay?
Okay.
Again, it comes down to how many nurtures we've put in.
Right. And
So,
if one way
'cause
is
that
more
nurture,
successful.
This nurture is going to be the key to get to
The
here.
appointments, yeah, not contacts is
So even if you're just getting 2 nurtures here, is that going to be enough to get to those appointments?
probably not
So where else do we go to get those nurtures?
from an under contractor sold.
So then we'll continue to do this to get how many nurtures a week?
6 total from
So
all of
6 total nurtures from all of it.
it. Right.
So we can lump these together knowing that you're going after 6 nurtures total. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Because that way what happens is now we've got a number to shoot for.
Yeah. Okay. And that's where, if I
And
met
that's
that
what drives
6
this activity.
right, and if I met that 6 nurtures on the under contract flyer because everyone's interested.
And if you meet that 6 nurtures in 20 door knocks, what do you think we're going to tell you?
keep doing that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, keep doing that.
I mean, seriously, right? When
Yeah.
you're having a great conversion day, it's because you're on fire.
Right.
So keep going.
Right.
Because what that does is it also gives you a backstop for those days when we're not on fire. Because that can happen.
Yep.
You know, things get in the way, whatever. We walk in, our mental aptitude isn't there, our energy's low, people aren't feeling it, whatever. It'll happen. So you backstop it when you have those great days and just keep going.
Yep.
Awesome. So you see, so this is put together. Anything else we've got to add here?
Well, I have my investor phone calls where I'm making 10 contacts a day on that one.
So
there's
that would
another
be
60 contacts a week, or 50,
50
a week.
contacts a week, and this is investors.
Yep.
Okay. So when you break this down on your 1 through 5, what you're putting down is 50 contacts a week with investors, 6 nurtures a week coming from this,
Door knocking. Yep.
from the door knocking of under contracts expires, or under contracts
Sold.
solds and the open houses. And then you're putting the 60 contacts here
Yep.
under circle calls and old sign calls. So that's how that breaks down. So then what happens is every week you go through and you take a look at the week. At the end of that week, you go through and so let's try to draw this up a little clearer. So your weekly activity is going to be, what did we say, 60 contacts from circle calls
Yep. And sign calls.
and old sign calls.
Yep.
And we're adding 6 nurtures through
Door knocking.
door knocking. And then we're going to contact 50 investors.
Yep.
When you put that together every week, is that going to help you achieve that goal?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll get those 10 appointments, period.
Yep.
Right? The key is doing these contacts with what intention?
Setting the appointment.
Getting the appointment. Here's the next step. What happens if you fall short in 1 week?
Push to the next.
It goes to the next. So when you look at your monthly goal is gonna be 60 times 4. So this monthly is gonna be 240. 6 times 4 is 24. And 50 times 4 is 200. So monthly, that's your number. Weekly, it breaks down to this. In the event that you fall short in a week, you've got to end the month where?
At your number.
At that number. Period. Because if you don't end the month at that number, what happens?
Your whole year gets out of whack.
Your whole year's screwed.
Yep.
And it can happen that fast. So what the 411 does is it creates clarity around the action that we're going to do in each of those areas of our life. So what you're going to hear is Rox and I are going to say, hey, please make sure you're sending out these 411s, send them to us every week so that we can help you stay accountable to your own goals.
Right.
Because when you're achieving your goals, we as a team, as a whole, achieve ours. It's a win-win for all of us. The flip side to it is when you're achieving your goals, you're achieving at a high level. And that happens through the coaching that we're able to provide on the team and through the training that we're giving you. Does that make sense? So, when we put this together, let's say you send out your 411, hypothetically, and you've made 50 contacts, and you've only put 4 nurtures in, and you made 75 investor calls, contacts. What's your next week look like?
Yeah, 10 extra contacts.
So
to make,
you're going to go
70.
60 plus 10.
Yep, so 70.
You're going to go 4 plus,
2 plus 6.
oh, there you go, 2 plus 6. I can do math. What about the investors?
Subtract 25.
Or
you
keep it
can just
where it
keep it
is
at 50.
and get ahead of the game.
Or you just put 50 because you had a great week
Yep,
and keep going.
cool.
And the reason why I say just put 50 is the minute you put less, what does it give us permission to do?
Do
Tap the
less.
brakes.
Do less.
Yep.
And once you start to tap the brakes, what do you do the next week?
Do
Same thing.
25.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Let me tell you how interesting this is. Glenn, years ago, Rox and I were coaching with Glenn, and he realized that we were making 20 contacts a day. You remember
It's
this time?
possible.
So he
With
did this
management.
little piece with us, right? And he said, hey, okay, here's the deal. How many contacts you making? And we said it was like right around 16, 17.
It was the first time he got a shut up from me.
Literally. it was one of those. So he said, think about it this way. You should be making 20. You're making 16. Difference is 4 a day. Multiplied by 5,
20 a week,
20 a week. Multiplied by
80 a month.
50, because we're going to work 50 weeks a year, so you're going to take a couple weeks
Okay.
off, which equals what? 4 times 5 is 20 times 50 is 1,000.
Yeah.
So we were missing 1,000 contacts times 2. And our average conversion rate was about 1 out of 50 for an appointment. How many appointments did we miss?
Okay. But what is that?
Does the shut up.
40?
That's incredible.
Was it 40?
We
Too
were
many?
missing
Did I
If
miss a
you- if
zero?
you miss 2,000,
20 appointments
20
a year.
appointments.
Yeah, per person.
And we were, at that
Closings
point,
a year.
20 closings is what it was. We were averaging 1 closing for 50. 20 closings a year. So take that times our average commission right now, which is about $10,000. How much money were we leaving on the table?
Close to $500,000.
$200,000 each.
Yeah.
And Roxanne's response to that was,
Shut up.
okay? And what it taught us though was the simple, small choice that we were making, thinking it was only 4 contacts, actually snowballed into something that was insanely huge. And then he said this, go home and tell your spouses that you just left 200 grand on the table each and
Yeah.
see what they tell
Ouch.
you.
Have that
That's where you got
Then
the
he got
shut
another
up.
shut up.
Yeah, that was a fun conversation.
Here's the thing that Gene Rivers says that I love on this topic. He says, you know, if your goal is 20 contacts and you do 18, that sounds close, right? Right. That is what? A 10%, you're just 10% off of your goal. Well, the question is, are you willing to cut 10% from your family's income just by not making that extra 2 contacts?
Yep.
It's very powerful, right? And when you start thinking of it in terms of that, and the other thing that Glenn said in that conversation is that this 411, we used to call the 135 the GPS. And I really like that name for it. If you think of, if you were driving to somebody's house in Highlands Ranch and your GPS only refreshed every 10 minutes, you'd never get there, would you? Right? The same thing happens with your goals. A lot of realtors do business plans and then we don't look at them again until next year when we're doing a business plan. You know, versus when you've got this type of drilled down course, it gives you the opportunity for course correction while course correction is possible.
Right.
Course correction, you do this 6 weeks in a row, you're never catching up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You do it 1 week in a row, you clear the decks, you work Saturday and Sunday if you need to, you get back on track, and if your goals mean anything to you. Yeah, okay.
And that's exactly it. And that's why this is so important to do every week. Is because, again, it goes back to that course correction. We can make a weekly course correction and it's minor. Or you can come in and go quarterly and go, oh! Right? It goes back to a simple piece. And here's the interesting thing though. NASA shared that 97% of the time when they sent a rocket to the moon, the very first one that went, it was off course. Seriously. It was off course 97% of the time. So how the heck did it land on the moon? Every second they're doing course corrections. And it's the same thing in our business. When we set goals and those goals mean that much to us, we will set those goals, we will course correct throughout the weeks and ensure that we're achieving those goals. Whatever we fall short, we add. If we go over, congratulations, keep doing the same thing. And continue to push forward because that's what will create the momentum and the ability for us not only to achieve our goals, to exceed the goals that we've set. And it starts by doing simple things like this every day. Here's the thing, once you have it here in a weekly schedule, what's next? Where does it go?
Time blocking.
It goes into the calendar. So once you know what you've got to accomplish every week, now you time block it. So you time block your week out. When am I going to go do the 60? When am I going to go find those 6 nurtures? When am I going to make those 50 contacts to investors? And it's all clearly time blocked in your schedule. And Diana teaches us in Bold that if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. And all too often, the Bold coaches forget the second half of that, which is it's not about following us. It's not about selling real estate. It's about
Following your schedule.
following your schedule. Because we can have one damn nice schedule that looks really good,
Looks so good.
and then you realize you aren't doing anything that's on it. And that's the thing. So it's about having the discipline to follow the schedule and follow it religiously every day. You know, shutting the door like you guys have been doing, kicking everybody out. You know, you don't come in and interrupt. Unless you're going to come in and make calls, the door is shut. Stay out of the way. You know, and truly being disciplined about that, and then coming together. It's being disciplined about the morning meetings, right? The stand-up call, the script practice and role play, because the flip side to that is when you start the morning with script practice and role play at 8:30. I'll share with you Caleb. Caleb moved up. He is actually playing, he's an 03. He's playing with Colorado Rapids Youth Academy now, 02s on their second team. He's playing with all these giants. Literally, I've got a picture and you can't see him because all the kids are around him. And he comes up to like their belly buttons. Yet, he's up for the challenge. And what he found out, we had an opportunity to really coach him through this weekend as they had their first tournament. And man, he was the slowest kid on the field. Wasn't keeping up. You know, they're playing at a different place. They're a lot more physical, all of that. So the first game, you could tell a difference. The second game, first game, he comes off the field, and I asked him, what'd you learn? What'd you do well? And he continued to move forward. Second game, he came on. He was playing quicker, playing better, got more playing time. Third game, he came on, came in 15 minutes in, and I challenged him in that third game. I said, I watched your warm-up yesterday. And and it's half speed. I said, warm up full speed and see what happens. So he did. And the coach put him in 15 minutes into the game. And he played the whole half. The rest of the 40-minute half. So he comes off the field after the game. They won the tournament, by the way. And I said, so what was the difference? And he said, Dad, I went in and I warmed up full speed. Coach saw it, recognized it. And the coolest thing was when I got on the field, I was already playing at that pace.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell. He was playing at the same pace the other players were. He'd adapted, and he was making great plays.
That's what we're talking about, having these business plans in place and the activities rolling by the beginning of October. That's about building our pipelines so we're
That's
already
why
doing.
all of this is so important, is because what we're doing is we're saying, okay, warm-up isn't about going out and jogging. It's about truly going out, hitting it. Same thing with script practice and role play. It's about hitting it. So that when you do get on the phone, you're not warming up with the client you're talking to and screwing it up. Screw it up with us. And then get on the phone and be ready to play. Because when you're on the phone and you're ready to play, you start sprinting, you start full speed. When you go into next year and you've already got your goals in place and you're moving forward and already achieving at the levels you should, you hit your goals. Not only that, you surpass them. And it all starts with that mindset of showing up and playing at 100%.
Yeah.
Every week, every day. And that's the opportunity. Cool. Any questions?
Amateurs do it until they get it right. Professionals do it until they can't get it
Can't
wrong.
get it wrong. That
That's
is
it.
true.
I love it.
So,
Thank God
What?
you're here.
Alvadone comes in and drops the mic.
Call it a day.
Jake and I, when we first started talking to Alba, we'd come up with all these ideas. There's two stories about this. One, we had a meeting with him. And then we had another meeting with him. And then we had another meeting with him. And then we had another meeting with him. And he told us after the fourth meeting, look, after every one of these meetings, I go home, and my wife says, how'd it go? And he said, great. She said, what did they say? I don't know. Right, that's the truth. The other one is that we have the image that with Alba, whenever we'd create a nice little idea and freeze it in ice, Alba would say, yeah, good idea. It turned into a poodle ice sculpture.
It was beautiful.
All right, so now our next, thank you by the way, everybody, for reaching the, we had an entire team deadline met of 135s.
Awesome.
Good work. Now our deadline for next week is turning in our 411s. And actually it's a deadline for this week because we're going to start turning these bad boys in Thursday by 9 a.m. And you send that to Bree. And
Now let me ask you, why would we say Thursday by 9 a.m.?
So you can hit Monday rolling.
So you could start the next week
On Friday.
already ahead.
Yeah.
Just like we're talking about right now. Starting
That's
next year
exactly it.
today. We're starting next week early.
And it means as I shift up, I'm going to do some rejuggling, a final rejuggling of our vision meetings to do them on Fridays. That way we've got our 135s in hand on Thursday. It's just going to be more systematically easy to manage.
Nice.
We've got our 135s that turned in on Thursday and then we can sit down and do our vision meeting on Friday, and then be off and running for Monday. So any questions on this process? Of course not, because Jake is so
Give
spectacular.
it a swing, do it with your business, and then start to look at the same thing. What's a 135 for something you design in your personal life? Where do you choose to go? What do you choose to do? Same thing, you put the 411, again, it goes back to calendaring and scheduling it all. And our goal is to help you see and live that big life and find time to do it all.
So you too can wear a
So you can wear this
magnificent tie
awesome-
like this. Look at that.
Now
And
your
your magnificent
6-year-old.
socks.
Oh yeah.
Do they
Oh,
match?
the socks?
The KW socks.
Oh, KW,
KW
beautiful
socks.
socks.
Nice,
He is a
nice.
company man. You are a company man. And you
Charge in
are
line.
spectacular. I
This
love
is
this tie.
this was Joshua's Christmas present.
That's fantastic.
I
Well,
walked
tell
down the stairs
Joshua
and had
I
breakfast with him
approve.
This morning, and Josh looks at me and he goes, "Dad,